Hey G-Fans, GojiFan93 here, and welcome to another video game review. In today's video, I'm going to be revisiting Godzilla Giant Monster March. This is another game that was from my Let's Plays back in the day, although this one in particular was not really a Let's Play, it was more of a Let's Try, and there was only one video that I did of it back in the day. When I first played the game, it was back in 2013, and that was back when I was getting quite annoyed with the older type of Godzilla games. So when it came to playing it, it didn't go exactly well. It wasn't a full rage, but I did quit after one episode.
I don't know, let's check the options first. Oh hey, we can... what the hell? What does that mean? 9A, whoa. What is... I have no idea what that says. Yeah. So, okay. So can I move? Okay, I can move. Okay, I'm moving. Whoa, what is this? What? Whoa, 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 wait. Hold your horses. Hold your... What? Wait, what? How do I attack him? Do I... Whoops. No, go back to Godzilla. Okay. Alright, Godzilla, just walk forward, I guess, and... Whew, man, this is boring. What, did that take 20 points from me? I don't understand. Health points, hit points, energy points? I honestly have no idea what's going on. I don't understand. God. Here we go. Is that even hurting him? Am I even hurting him? I don't think I'm hurting him. Am I hurting him? How am I... His health is not going down. I'm hitting him, aren't I? Anything. Like, it's just not... Like, what am I... See, he's gonna kill me, and his health, it just is not... And then I'm dead. Alright.
So, with revisiting this game, I was a little worried and hesitant going into it. And it's another game that I decided not to do a live stream of, due to the fact that I just wasn't sure that this was going to go smoothly. But I'm not gonna lie, Godzilla Giant Monster March is actually a really good Godzilla game, and actually a pretty good Godzilla strategy game. I know, I can't believe I'm saying it, but I actually enjoyed this game. Now first, a few things though. I did play this on an emulator, and I did have a few things that I used to my advantage. Now, there were actually no cheats that I used in this game, although there are cheat codes that can be used. But the cool thing is that what I decided to do was there were two things that I used to help me along playing through this game. The first thing, which was probably the most integral reason why I enjoyed the game, was an English translation ROM hack. And this made a huge difference in playing the game. When I played it back then, obviously the game never released in America, and so it was all in Japanese. So when I tried to play it back then, I was very confused on what to do because, of course, everything's in Japanese. So if you don't know Japanese, it's going to be very hard to understand what's going on in this game. And when it's a strategy game, you do have to know what you're doing. You need to read the text boxes that are popping up everywhere. So luckily, I was able to download this ROM hack, get it to work, and I popped the game in, and boom, it's in English. The other tool I used that was very integral to this playthrough, and I'll delve into it a little later when I get into the gameplay. I used a speed up method in the emulator that sort of helped me get past the slow parts of the games. And again, I'll explain that later in the video. So first off, when it comes to the story or the main campaign of the game, this is one part that I was really excited about actually. That this game doesn't have its own story mode, it actually takes place in different various parts of the movies of Godzilla's history. There are 4 main stages of the game, and then there's actually a 5th stage that you can unlock after you've gotten all these ranks in the other modes. Now I'll just say here, I actually never unlocked the final 5th secret stage because I didn't get the highest ranks or points in the main stages. But it's just cool that it's there. And each mission is really cool. They're all taking place in different parts of the movies. The first stage is basically Godzilla vs. Gigan, and then the second one is a little bit of a mix. It's sort of Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, there's Mecha King Ghidorah there, and then Mothra shows up for some random reason. And then the third one is Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla from 1993. And then the last stage is Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. So what I really liked about it was the fact that you were playing through actual parts of the movie, and the scenery and the way that the graphics looked are so good at mimicking the movie sets. And that's going to lead me into graphics for this game. For a Sega Game Gear game, like a portable handheld thing, it's really good looking. And obviously it's looking better because I'm playing it on an emulator, but regardless, the art style and the way that the game is presented is really well done. The intro cinematic to the game is really exciting. And the characters look amazing. Godzilla looks great, and actually there are slight differences between each stage to mimic that this is the Showa Godzilla, this is the Heisei Godzilla, this is Super Godzilla, but not the Super Godzilla that we know from the Super Nintendo game. It's actually souped up Godzilla after Rodan dies in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, where he gets a little stronger. And then the other characters in the game, you got like Anguirus, Rodan, Mothra, Mogera's in it, obviously Space Godzilla, Gigan. All these characters that are represented in the game look fantastic. And when it comes to the 2D segments of the game, those sprites they're really good looking. I mean, yes, they're a little bit of that chibi style, but overall, I love the art style of them. And then the arenas, the overall maps that you're playing on look great, and then there are really awesome set pieces that are in the maps. For instance, in the Godzilla vs. Gigan stage, there's actually the Godzilla Tower that's there, that you can actually go up to and destroy, which is so cool. So overall, the presentation and graphics, it's top notch, it really is. I don't really have any complaints. So the next thing that was really important to this game was obviously the gameplay, and this was the thing that I was really dreading and what I remembered from my original Let's Play. When I first played the game back in 2013, I was so confused and didn't know where to go. I sort of understood what was maybe going on, but I was still pretty bored at the same time, and I just thought it was kind of a bland experience. But playing it now with the English translation and also using the speed up feature to skip past the slow parts, it actually made the game really fun and intense in actually some moments. The first thing that's cool is that when you start up the game, you actually get to decide if you want to play as the military or Godzilla. So that is so cool. Like the fact that they're giving the player the option to play as the military, to have that strategic element to it, like Godzilla 2 War of the Monsters, or being able to play as the monsters and having their own set of goals. And that is what's really cool, is that when you pick a mission, it actually says what the mission objectives are. Here's what the things you need to do to win the map, and here's the things that are going to happen if you lose. And so what's cool is that if you play as the monsters, most of the time you're going to want to take out all the military, you're going to want to get a certain percentage of destruction on the city, and then obviously take out the monsters that are opposing you. And then there are, depending on what stage you're playing, other little variables that are in there. Like I said before, for instance, grabbing baby Godzilla in the Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla stage. So when you start the mode, you get to decide obviously where your character gets to go. And it's cool, you can click on the character and you get to point at, the direction and the path that you want to go, and you have certain amount of steps you can take. And something that I didn't realize, and I don't think I realized actually when I did do my first Let's Play, but when I started out on stage 1 with the Godzilla vs. Gigan stage, Godzilla and Anguirus are there. So I actually was able to play as both Godzilla and Anguirus trying to get onto the city to, to take out Gigan and King Ghidorah. But the one thing that I will say that's annoying is having to wait for the CPU's turn. And this is where the game can get real boring. And this is where the speed up feature came in handy. Because when the CPU is doing its thing, especially when it's the military units, it takes a good solid minute or two for them to all get to where they need to go, because the AI has to go through each unit and move them to where it needs to go. It does take forever. But luckily, what I did was every time the CPU had to do their thing, I basically just clicked the speed up button and got right back to my turn, and I was able to keep on playing. So it kind of kept the pace of the game a little better. I do wish that in the game they had a built-in skip button. That would have been really helpful. And then when you get to the opponent, this is actually where the game gets really fun, actually. So the game then turns into a 2D space where it pretty much is a 2D fighter. A very basic one, I'll say, but its simplicity is sort of welcomed here. And to be honest, this game literally is the spiritual successor to Godzilla 2 War of the Monsters on NES. It takes everything that game did, but it just makes it better. Like it just improves everything about it. And when it comes to these 2D segments, you actually play as the monsters of the military. Now I'll say the monsters are a little more fun to play as because you get to jump around, you get to punch, use your tail, and then use a special attack. The military is a little more bland when it comes to it. Really, when you're the jets, you're just flying straight and you just press the button to, shoot the missiles. So I prefer playing as the monsters, obviously. But yeah, you get to fight jets, tanks, maser tanks. You get to fight the Super X, the Super X2. And the thing that was really interesting that I didn't understand in the original playthrough, obviously because I couldn't read Japanese, was that every time you get to an opponent, if it's one of the military units, they have a certain amount of characters that you have to kill. So when you're starting out and you hit into a jet and you attack them, there's actually maybe like 4 or 5 jets you have to take out. And then what's really annoying, I'll say, is that there's a timer. And I really don't understand why these old Godzilla games have timers with them with everything. But this game only gives you like 10 seconds at some points to take out all these different jets. So sometimes jets are flying at you, and most of the time what I did, I had to jump and like use my tail or my claw to uppercut them or whatever. But the more you get used to the game, the better you get at. And especially when I found out that you could also dash, that made things 100 times better. Because when it came to the tanks, I was able to just dash, just continually dash and destroy all the tanks. It was really fun. And so once you take out all the units in that match, then that unit on the map actually blows up and disappears. And that's basically how you take out the military. Now the same goes for the opponents pretty much when it comes to like the opposing kaiju. You just walk up to them, hit the attack button, and then you go into your 2D segment. Now this is where the AI can get a little tricky. The AI can be a little brutal at some points. They like to dog on you a lot, and then they'll kind of use a lot of special attacks and abilities that like to stagger you a lot, and it does make it tricky. But once you learn the strategy of jumping and kicking, especially if you're Godzilla, you jump and kick and jump and kick, and then you land. Sometimes you use your tail and you keep on jumping and kicking. You actually get this rhythm where you can kind of get the AI in a corner and just basically continually just pound on them. It's pretty fun. And one of the last things that I learned is when I was actually playing the first 2 stages, I lost. I died pretty hard because especially in the first one, Gigan and King Ghidorah, they just tag teamed me because by the time you get to the opponents, the military also dwindles your health. And that's what's cool and not cool about it, is that in the game there's like 3 teams going on. Your team, if you're Godzilla, and Godzilla and Anguirus or whoever's with him, then you have the military, and then you have the opposing monsters. So yeah, there's like 3 parties going on, and the AI can actually get in their own battles at the same time too, so then they can have their own little fights. But most of the time what would happen is that I'm spending so much time trying to take out the military that all of a sudden my opponent, when I finally get to like an opposing kaiju, my health is so low that they just killed me so quick. I only learned by the 3rd stage that if you actually stop and you don't move your monster, if you actually just stay in place for 1 turn, you actually recover HP. And that was crucial in being able to take out the rest of the opponents in the map. Especially when it came to the Space Godzilla stage. Holy crap, I needed to stay in place for many turns just to recoup all that health. So I really liked it. I liked the gameplay. It was fun. It was actually really fun and intense in some points, and yeah, it has some minor flaws here and there, but overall it's really good. The other really amazing thing is the music and the sound effects. The sound effects are classic crunched, bit-sized of punch sound effects and explosion sound effects. But the music is exceptional. It's little crunched bit-sized of the Akira Ifukube tracks, and there's a little bit of, I think there's some original tracks too, but overall the music soundtrack is really entertaining. And it makes you feel like you're in the movies. So yeah, my journey playing through the game, it was very quick too. It's a very fast game. You can beat each stage probably, maybe in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, depending on how fast you get through it. But yeah, when it came to the first 2 stages, I did lose, again, mostly because I just kept on losing health and I wasn't recovering that health. But then when I got to the 3rd stage, I managed to, grab Godzilla Jr. as Rodan, but this is what was cool. I grabbed Rodan and then died as Rodan, and then when I died, it said that Godzilla is now Super Godzilla because Rodan died, and like in the film, Rodan actually, he gives his essence to Godzilla, which makes him stronger. So then I was able to grab Godzilla Jr. and then be able to attack Super Mecha Godzilla and take him out, and it was really cool. And then when it came to the Space Godzilla level, I was really scared about that because that was the level I actually played in my original, video, and the one thing I was worried about was I didn't know how to take out Space Godzilla. I mean, obviously I knew I had to take his tower out first in order for him to become defenseless, but even when the tower was destroyed, I would still punch him and his health would not go down. really what it comes down to is that he's just one tough son of a gun. I mean, he has a lot of HP, and you just have to keep on wailing at him until his health continually goes down. And the cool thing is that while I was trying to recover in a lot of turns, while Space Godzilla was kind of backing off in some points, Mogira just popped out of nowhere, and then Mogira and Space Godzilla had a battle too. So that was really cool how that happened. So overall, guys, it's a good Godzilla strategy game. I cannot believe I'm saying it. And it was sitting in front of my face this whole time. The fact that it has a diverse stage selection, the visuals are really nice, and the gameplay is really easy to understand, and the fact that it's pretty much a spiritual successor to Godzilla 2 makes this a pretty awesome game. And I would highly recommend it, actually. So that's my thoughts and my revisit of Godzilla Giant Monster March on the Sega Game Gear. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this game, if you've played it before, or if you haven't. Again, I highly recommend checking out the English translation version too. I wouldn't recommend playing the original because unless you know Japanese, because then you'd be able to understand it. But if you are going to play this game for the first time, I do highly recommend getting the emulator and getting the ROM hack so that you can have a better time with that. So that's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay big, G fans.